Live from Gulfstream Park in South Florida, this is a special edition of Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Park on a nice day. A little breezy here this morning, but it's a nice day. Certainly enjoying the temperature as compared to the winter up in the Albany, Saratoga area. And of course, we've been here a couple of days, arrived kind of midday on Wednesday, came over to the track, and then enjoyed the day yesterday, bopping around and getting some interviews and whatnot. But the weather last couple of days has been very nice. And as I say, a marked change from the climate we came from, and it's certainly a welcome change as well. Always fun to be down here. Thanks as usual to our friends at Gulfstream Park for their hospitality. Our man Dennis behind the camera, and the crew upstairs. They always treat us very well here on the TV set. But from the top down here at Gulfstream, Dave Joseph over in the media department, appreciate his help as well. So we're off and running. Today, 8:30, as you see here. I'll go through the card today for a little handicapper support. A little bit later on, we'll shift over to Racing Across America. And we bopped around yesterday and got some fun interviews. Yesterday in paddock, we talked to Terry Finley from West Point Thoroughbreds. They had Sorcerer Silver, who was a really nice debut winner here earlier in the meet. And we talked to Terry, and they have potentially some nice plans for Sorcerer Silver going forward, because we talked in the paddock yesterday before his start number 2, fifth race yesterday, subsequently gets that job done. And so got a little Terry in the winner's circle as well, a little before and after with Terry. Terry also, he was here yesterday, but he's on his way to Oaklawn tomorrow for Arkansas Derby. Sandman, West Point, part of the group with that one. So we talked with Terry, obviously, a little bit about Sandman as well. So we have a little Terry Finley. Dylan Davis, we caught up to him. He's got a full slate tomorrow on the Florida Derby card, including Enter the Dragon, who is really more of a turf horse. He's entered in the Florida Derby. So we talked to Dylan a little bit about him. He came out of a second in a turf stake most recently, but Enter the Dragon, interesting. Silvology, another Dylan runner coming off a nice win at 1.5 miles for Shug. So he'll be in the Orchid. She'll be in the Orchid. And then some other, those two Dylan had ridden. Some other ones he's going to be brand new on, and we caught up a little bit about what the game plan is when you're new on a horse and doing the homework and whatnot. He's also having a great meet. So we touched on all those with Dylan. And then we talked to Kent Sweezy as well. He has one in the Cutler Bay. He has one in the Pan Am. Caught up on where he's headed next after the meet ends, and just got him to sum up what was a great meet for him training as well, Ken Sweezy. So we'll have those tape pieces coming up, Racing Across America in a few. And then Tom Bellhouse from West Point will join us live here on the set. Tom will also talk a little bit about, again, Sorcerer's Silver. An interesting runner going forward for West Point. We'll hit on some of their other runners as well. Talk Sandman today in the Arkansas Derby. So all of that coming up a little bit later on, Racing Across America. Stay tuned for that. Just news, you're probably aware over the past few days, the news came out, a mishap on one of his horses before a race. The day we got here, a couple days ago, Tyler Gaffleone broke his ankle, out indefinitely, so he'll miss Florida Derby Day, where he had some big mounts, and really the next few weeks as well. Timing, obviously, never good for a situation like that, but Tyler Gaffleone on the sidelines. Do want to alert you as well that coming up on Sunday, the last day of this championship meet, and there's a Rainbow Six mandatory. Everything becomes a mandatory, obviously, on the last day of a meet. But remember that there is the Rainbow Six mandatory coming up here at Gulfstream on Sunday. And also alluded to it, obviously, a minute or so ago, talking about Sandman. But don't forget, this is also Arkansas Derby weekend. So really, Florida Derby, Arkansas Derby. Excuse me, a couple of major Kentucky Derby preps coming up tomorrow, Saturday. So you can check it out all on Capital OTB TV. So stay tuned for all of that over the weekend, a big weekend. And both venues also highlighted by those Derby preps. but really, really nice stake section underneath as well. All right, let me hit on, as I say, go through the card today at Gulfstream. 9-race card, some nice racing here today, as I say, on a little bit of a breezy Friday morning. We'll see how the afternoon turns out, but we're going to kick things off on this Friday. In the opener, maiden 12-5 claimers will travel 7 furlongs. I have a 10, 2, 6, and 8. Number 10 is Coffee at KJ's. And I will say, I went back and forth, and I might regret it. I went back and forth between this one and Noble Prince, which one to put on top. And a little bit of an extra class dip and a little more experience under the belt for Coffee at KJ's. Will that be a benefit? Or because Noble Prince is a little more lightly raced, is there more blue sky? I tilted slightly towards Coffee at KJ's on the outside, but it's 7 furlongs. You have that whole back stretch to get some position. So again, a little experience, 3 seconds in 7 starts, including the last effort, which was against slightly better. It was a pretty good try with a decent number. But as I say, I may regret not putting Noble Prince on top. By Kozan, I really like Kozan as a win early type sire. This one didn't get it done in the debut, but was clearly facing better that day. And I was looking up the siblings. There weren't any first out winners amongst the siblings, but they all were pretty good early on. And I just had the early records for some of the siblings. One of them, 7 starts, a couple of wins, couple of seconds, and a third. Another one, 6 starts to begin the career, a win, 3 seconds, and a third. Another one in the first 3 starts of the career. Another one had 9 starts to start the career, 2 wins, a second, and a couple of thirds. In other words, early on, they all run pretty well. And this one kind of lived up to that also, running third in the debut, a well-beaten debut, a well-beaten third. But again, getting the class relief today, Irod hops on board. Noble Prince may wind up being the one to beat. And Trajan Virato, another one by Kozan, had to put it in the mix, showed a little punch early before fading. I kind of like that scenario to get the experience under the belt. If you looked up the breeding on the dam side, this is the first to race, so there wasn't much to find there. But again, a decent little try against similar last time in the debut puts that good experience under the belt. So again, in the opener today at Gulfstream, for me, 10, 2, 6, and 8. Race number 2 at Gulfstream today. We're looking at maiden 50 claimers going a mile on the grass, 6, 5, 7, and 2. I'm going to go with Inagata on top. Midshipman, pretty good with first-time starters. And again, this clearly isn't a first-time starter. It has 5 starts. But I always look at that first-time starter stat as showing win early potential. And Midshipman last year had 50 first-time starters, 7 winners, 8 seconds, 10 thirds. So they run well early on. The dam side, there were 10 siblings. 3 of them won within their first 3 starts. So I thought there was win early, top and bottom. This one hasn't quite lived up to it, but with the class drop today in for the tag, might move forward. Second spot, we'll go with Back in the Saddle. Safi Joseph runner that is getting a little bit of class relief today that may prove to be beneficial. Last, 3 starts have been all right, a near miss second and a couple of thirds. And last time had some traffic trouble and was moved up on a DQ. So I think this one is going to be a real player in here. And then Senor Pancho in the 3rd spot. Chad Summers for Al Gold and Gold Square Racing. Senior, his horses, I have no idea what Senior Pancho refers to, but he, of course, had Sue Ellen Mishkin and many others, Al Gold. And this one, the first couple of starts of the career, finishing position wasn't much. The number matches up with these, but more importantly, the first 2 starts were against maiden specials. So now we drop in for a claim. He makes the potent move. And the workout 2 back, March 14th, that was a pretty good workout at Palmetto. So I think Senior Pancho at the 6-1 morning line, I think is absolutely worth the look. So race number 2, maiden claimers, going a mile on the grass, 6, 5, 7, and 12. Race number 3 at Gulfstream this afternoon. We're looking at bottomish level conditional claimers going a quick 5 on the synthetic. 3, 2, 5, and 6. Smart Jenny on top. Spires have been moving in the right direction. I kind of like that progression that just maybe seems to have you primed for another move forward. If we get another move forward, definitely the numbers are going to be very good against this bunch. Bubbly Champagne, a player in here on a class move, has kind of been bouncing around 12-5 and 17-5 the last few starts. Two 12-5s bookending at 17-5, and the two 12-5s were pretty good. So now dropping down to 8, I think is going to be right in the wheelhouse of Bubbly Champagne. And then Peggy Sue, I Love You, plenty of early speed. The Victor Barbosa runner, second off the claim. First off the claim was a front end score as the favorite. That was at the 8,000 N2 level. This is N3, and I say it all the time. A lot of often it will take a horse a start or two to kind of figure the next level out. That might be the case here, but certainly the first start out of the barn at the N2 level was good enough to mix it up with this bunch, one condition up. So in the third at Gulfstream, 3, 2, 5, and 6. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we will return live to the Gulfstream Park paddock for more handicapper support. Again, coming up a little bit later on, Racing Across America, we will be joined live by Tom Bellhouse from West Point for some conversation. Their nice winner yesterday, Sandman in the Arkansas Derby as well. We'll also have Terry Finley, again, caught on tape. Dylan Davis caught him after the last race on the way back to the jocks room as well, and Kent Sweezy. So all of that coming up when we continue. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back. We're live from Gulfstream Park the day before, as it were. Tomorrow, Florida Derby Day. Can Sovereignty overcome the outside post position? White Abario on the undercard. Going to be a fun Saturday, certainly, but it's a fun Friday the day before, and so we will dive back in to the Friday card, looking at race number 4. Optional claimers, non-winners of 2. They're going to go a quick 5 on the synthetic. I have it 6, 1, 5, and 4. Asher's Edge on top. David Fox trainee. Tyler Gaffleone was named on board, but again, Tyler suffered the injury a couple of days ago. So as you go through your PPs, you're going to want to listen to Pete Aiello in the pregame to go through scratches and changes, because the Tyler horses obviously will have substitute jocks. But Asher's Edge had a 2-race win streak broken last time, running 4th when bumped up to this level. But it was a decent try. So I think the horse can be a player in here. The number has kind of stayed consistent, and the number matches nicely with this bunch. So again, does come off that 4th place finish in a similar class level last time, but should benefit from that experience. And also, I think that experience with this bunch fits. Second spot, Test Factor. This one comes in with a 2-race win streak. Rohan Creighton trainee, nice winner on the synthetic, going 5.5 last 2 starts back, and last time went 5 on the grass. A winner there as well. So comes in good form, synthetic or turf. Should be a square fit in here. And then Abrir Caminos, if I came anywhere close to pronouncing that correctly. To me, the top 2 are a little more interesting unless you go back a few races with the 5-horse and you go down, and there are certainly numbers that fit nicely. The 2 most recent starts, maybe not as much, but I could see this horse rebounding to those prior numbers. And if we get to those, and Irad Ortiz on board may help get to those, certainly the 5 is a contender on those earlier numbers. So in the 4th for me, I have it 6, 1, 5, and 4. 5th race today, if you go to our social media channels, we put up the play of the day and the wager of the day. I will say my play of the day yesterday, I think I have the chart here. I had the life sucked out a little bit. Tal Bingo in the finale yesterday was the play of the day. 4-1 on the morning line, went off at even money. Won nicely, but didn't quite get the value we wanted. And our wager of the day, our pick 3 hit. But I went, a little deep for a pick 3, hoping that we'd get a little bit of a price in the mix, and it just kind of chalked out. So again, we scored with the wager of the day as well as the play of the day yesterday, but the play went off at even money after wagering was set and done, and the wager of the day was a little bit chalky. We'll see what we can do today. However, this is the play of the day race 5, $25,000 B condition claimers, mile on the grass. And I put Super Watson on top, 5-1 on the morning line. But it's Safi Joseph and Edgar Zayas. The last couple of workouts don't get my juices flowing, but you go back to March 1st and March 8th, those are okay. This horse was claimed 2 back off a decent second place finish after having a lead late, and that was at a similar level to today. Came off of that claim and tried the Sunshine Classic, and you have to wonder, this is owned and trained by Safi, and it seems like one of those where maybe there was a little bit of, hey, we got this race coming up in January down at Gulfstream worth $75,000. Maybe I can make a clever claim here. Claimed the horse, came down, claimed it off the synthetic at Woodbine, came down and tried the dirt in that $75,000 stake. It didn't work out. Now they go over to the turf, and the horse has done okay on the turf, has obviously done okay on the synthetic. As I say, there's a couple of workouts earlier this month that were pretty good. And the trainer going dirt to turf the last 2 years here at Gulfstream, Safi's 8 for 32, 25%. So a good stat there. But with Edgar Zayas, 4 for 14, 29%. So the percentage inches up a little bit with the categories we're looking at. So I just thought there were plenty of interesting things with Super Watson, given the scenario here. And one of the interesting things is if that morning line at 5-1 holds up. So play of the day, number 6, Super Watson. Second spot, Spy Novel, Irad Ortiz on board for Nolan Ramsey. Won in September at Presque Isle, 2 starts back, then was over at Tampa in December. And I just didn't offer up a whole lot that day. But this is another one of those that are back numbers that are pretty good. And the win at Presque Isle, I'm assuming that was a stakes day out there because Irad Ortiz was on board for the win that day. So he reunites. That's going to be a bonus. And then My Sea Cottage, the Mark Cassidy trainee with Dylan Davis on board. Lots of speed, and speed is always dangerous. And this may be the one that tries the catch me if you can scenario in here. And so, again, on that becomes dangerous. In the 5th race today at Gulfstream, kick off a late pick 5. Play of the day on top, number 6, but I have it 6, 10, 2, and 3. 6th race this afternoon. It is a optional claimer starter allowance going the 1-turn mile. It kicks off your late pick 4 action this afternoon. And in the 6th, I have it 6, 3, 1, and 2. Number 6 is Formulate. Goes out for Rohan Crichton. Kind of a funny scenario so far. 2 starts, 1 in September on the synthetic, 1 in November on the turf, and now 3rd start of the career off a little bit of a layoff. They go over to the dirt. But did win the career debut for a $35,000 tag. Won it pretty easily. They got ambitious and tried a little stakes race on the turf in the follow-up. Just seemed to be a little stiff competition perhaps for this one. Now they get back to maybe a more proper level. And trying the dirt was interesting because Rohan Crichton turf to dirt the last 2 years, 17%. But if you parse it down to turf to dirt at Gulfstream, 2 for 6, 33%. So I found that a little bit interesting as well. So we'll see what this one does off a little bit of a layup and trying a new surface. I don't know if I want too short of a price, but the 3-1 morning line was kind of attractive. Light Forever in the second slot comes in off a nice win last time for a maiden 50 tag. That's after being claimed 2 back for 35,000. So it was obviously a very clever claim. Class-wise, I'm going to be interested to see what this one does stepping out of that maiden claiming company. However, this may be it's kind of a salty group on the move against, limited winners. Simo in the third spot, the number 1 horse, like the top pick, only 2 starts, like the top pick. Nice winner in the debut for a tag. Then they tried a little stiffer company, didn't fare quite as well. But again, like the top pick, you get the experience under the belt. The stretch out here in the third start was intriguing to me. Kathleen O'Connell, trainee. So I'll put that one in the mix as well. Again, we kick off late pick 4 action in race number 6 at Gulfstream on Friday afternoon. I have it 6, 3, 1, and 2. All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, we'll continue our look at the Friday afternoon card here at Gulfstream. Stay tuned.
Coming right back, the American, the European, and it is theatrical in front. Trippolino driving hard, pull out, is it trying to get him? And here is the winner, and theatrical has won it. Absolutely spectacular.
You like free money? Well, Capital OTB gives its players plenty of opportunities to cash in. At Capital OTB, there are so many ways for horse players to receive bonus dollars by simply participating in promotions such as our bankrolls, bounty bets, online handicapping contests, and much, much more. Plus, with Capital OTB's Player Rewards program, you get actual cash back. So what are you waiting for? Log on today at CapitalOTB.com or CapitalOTBBet.com and claim your free money.
And it's the filly winning colours. Gary Stevens going to the whip left-handed. Just one crack though. It's winning colours. Turning in an absolutely outstanding performance. We're looking at one exceptional filly.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN.
Welcome back. We're going to kick in the 7th at Gulfstream. I mentioned it earlier. Social media now. You go to our Twitter page. Weekdays, there's a play of the day, a wager of the day. As I said yesterday, my wager of the day was a pick 3, and this 7th race is going to kick off my wager today. Same scenario. We'll hope for more value, though. Yesterday I was, 4x4 by 3, and at the dollar increment, you're dipping your toe a little deep there, and you need something. You need a little bit of a price in the mix. We're doing the same idea today, but just to give you, as I say, kind of chalked out yesterday. So collected, lived to fight another day. But yesterday in that pick 3 we played, had the winner in the first leg, $5.60. Winner in the second leg, $5.20. Now you're up against it a little bit. And then in the third leg, did get $8.40. But again, it was pretty much a break-even proposition with those prices. So if you're going, this deep on a pick 3, you kind of need a little bit of a price or a couple of prices in the mix. If you can get that, and we'll see, the morning line kind of is right there to take the shot in here. We have some field size that's okay. This first leg, 9 horses. So again, I'm 4x3x4 in this pick 3 play, the wager of the day today. In the 7th race, 5-7-1-4 with 5-7-1 with 9-6-10-4. So we'll see how it plays out. But in the 7th race, again, 5, 7, 1, and 4. Use all of those in the pick. Shining Sky on top. You go back 4 starts. There are a couple of wins. 4 starts, 3 starts back. then took a little bit of time off at the end of the year, came back in January and clunked a little bit at the 12.5 level after having won at 16 and 2L, 12.5 and 3L. As I say, ran 6 that day. Did have a little traffic trouble, however. Came back down at the bottomish 8,000 level and was a close-up second. Sticks at that 8 level today. I think this horse is in a good spot to kind of break through and get another victory under the belt with this stick at this particular level and off the try last time. Second spot, Sheila's Mission. Broke the maiden 3 back. Nice win subsequently, a couple of starts after that at this 8,000 level. The question mark here is the layoff since September. The workouts, there have been 4 workouts in March, but they aren't really necessarily indicating anything one way or the other. So I'll go with this horse because I think talent-wise, absolutely fits. And then in the third spot, it's different. Safi Joseph runner. Comes in with a nice try off a layoff of a couple of months towards the end of the year, middle of December to late February, but it was a pretty good return. 7-pound apprentice is on board, but the 7-pound apprentice was on board last time for that decent little third place finish. Was just behind Shiny Sky, my top pick. So kind of like one, you have to put the other in the mix as well. Race number 7 at Gulfstream, 5, 7, 1, and 4. And again, in the pick play, I will use all of those. And, just to give you an idea, we have some short prices in here. It's different at 4-1, though. If that held up, that would be okay. Sheila's Mission at 9-2. Those would be nice ways to kick it off. They aren't huge prices, but if we can get a little something, bottomish double digits, as I say, it'll be a nice way to kick off the sequence. In the 8th race, 5, 7, 1, and 6. I'll use the 5, 7, and 1 in the play. 5 is the favorite. We'll hope we can get that one beaten, but it might be tough. Comes out of a stakes race last time and just missed in there, the Royal Delta. So now getting back to a more proper non-winners of 2 other than condition. Grand Job is clearly going to be the one to beat for Bill Mott and Joel Rosario. First couple of starts after arriving from Europe were big wins. That led them to try the Royal Delta. And again, just missed there. So, $97,000 up for grabs in here. Why not take a shot in the more proper condition? So clearly the one to beat. But Dream Concert, Irod Ortiz on board for Kathleen O'Connell. Comes in off a series of kind of bridal party situations, bridesmaid, a couple of thirds and a second. Has been a little bit camera shy over the past couple of seasons, but been knocking at the door, and I think is an okay fit with these. The top pick is going to have to falter a little bit. Darth Vader, I also used in the mix, and Miles of Smiles at 15-1. I would have liked to have included that maybe and try for a real upset. Darth Vader, 8-5 on the morning line, just a fraction of a tick behind Grand Job. On the class, I get it, but hasn't been seen since May. So I was just a little bit concerned with the situation. One of the workouts recently, the March 15th work was okay, but a steady string of stakes races on the resume. Blinkers off today, LASIK's on. The layoff was a little too much for me to overcome, but on a class basis, may just have a good fit in store this afternoon. We'll see. I'm going to be interested to see how the odds shake out with this group as well. 5, 7, 1, and 6 in the 8th. 9th and final at Gulfstream today. We are looking at maiden 25 claimers going a mile on the grass. I have it 9, 6, 10, and 4. Number 9 is Ben T. Goes out for Christophe Clement. Debuted beginning of the month, March 2nd, and it was an okay 4th place finish. It was one of those that put some experience under the belt and you would think gives experience to build on. But more importantly, looking up what the dam has done, there are some really nice win early siblings. There's a sibling Storm Prophet, one in the second career start, going a mile and a 16th on the grass. Epping Forest won the career debut, and in the first 4 starts of the career, 3 wins. They were all on turf. Sue won in the second career start. Uncle George won the career debut. Cocapelli won the career debut. Plenty of win early on the bottom side there with the experience under the belt. Christophe Clement, Dylan Davis. Now, I will say, to me, a lot of those breeding stats, excuse me, are more potent when we're at the maiden special weight level. So, they debuted for the 25 tag. They're back for the 25 tag. But looking at the rest of this field, I think if that early breeding holds up, I do think this horse is an absolute player. And we have 6-1 on the morning line. So Ben T on top, D'Argento Bolt in the second spot, Mike Maker trainee by Bolt Dioro. Bolt Dioro, very much a win early sire. This one hasn't quite lived up to it yet, but did move down to this 25 level last time and ran decently. And I often say, if win early breeding doesn't get it done, start 1, start 2, start 3, and they change things up, maybe take another look. Now, this one has tried the turf once before, but it was at the maiden special level. So first time turf at the level, a little bit of a change up for D'Argento Bolt, and you're getting 8-1 there. Third spot, We See You. The 10-horse Irad Ortiz on board for David Fox off a decent little try last time, was claimed out of that. They come back right at the same claim level. And again, with Irad hopping on board, I think We See You could also be a little bit of a player in here at 9-2. So the last race in the sequence of the play is offering a little bit of value. I also have Ocean Ripple, who is at 5-2. I think the morning line favorite. I get it. I have no real arguments against. I just didn't think I was that tied into the horse. There is the maiden special weight move, the potent class move. Yes. But as I say, I didn't see that one as being any more significant than the other runners who offer a little more, and I think will offer a little more value in the afternoon. So the 9th race at Gulfstream, I have it 9, 6, 10, and 4. I also had notes here because I had mentioned Dylan Davis having a good meet. I mentioned Irad having a good meet, and I pulled up the stats from the meet last night as we come into the last 2 days of the meet. Irad Ortiz has it sewn up pretty much. He's sitting at the top of the jocks list with 104 winners. Sitting second, Tyler Gaffleone, who again is now at the sidelines, but 104-73. So as I say, Irad has things sewn up on the jockey side of things. Tyler Gaffleone was 73, Luis Saez 67, Edgar Zayas 66, Junior Alvarado in the number 5 position as far as wins with 41, and he's on the sidelines at the moment as well. Dylan sitting at number 7 with 36. Good weekend for him, could move him up the list a little bit. But as I say, there is no catching Irad down here at the championship meet winds up. On the trainer side of things, Safi has things wrapped up as well. He has many more starters than the others. So, he has 328 starters, and I'm just looking in the top 10. The next highest is Mark Cassie with 243. So he's got 80 more starters than the next highest trainer. But that then led to 65 winners, as opposed to Jose D'Angelo with 38, Mark Cassie with 34, Todd Pletcher 31, Victor Barbosa 27. I mentioned Ken Sweeney. We'll have a taped interview with him coming up a little bit later on. He's having a very good meet, 23%, only 83 starters, but 19 winners. So it's been a good meet for Kent. As I say, we'll have a little more for him from him coming up as well. So stay tuned for that on Racing Across America, which will be coming up shortly. And I think we'll go to one more break before we wrap up here on the Handicappers Report on this Friday morning. So we'll go to another break. We'll come back and wrap up the Handicappers Report. And then, as I say, a little bit later on, we will jump right into Racing Across America. We'll have some conversation about the weekend. So stay tuned for all of that. As we continue, again, live from Gulfstream Park on this Friday morning. Stay tuned.
you like free money? Well, Capital OTB gives its players plenty of opportunities to cash in. At Capital OTB, there are so many ways for horse players to receive bonus dollars by simply participating in promotions such as our bankrolls, bounty bets, online handicapping contests, and much, much more. Plus, with Capital OTB's Player Rewards program, you get actual cash back. So what are you waiting for? Log on today at CapitalOTB.com or CapitalOTBBet.com and claim your free money.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Florida Derby Day facts. And some of these are intriguing. I didn't realize how proficient Bob Baffert was down here at Gulfstream. He's won the Pegasus Invitational 3 times, the Don Handicap. His first Grade 1 was here at Gulfstream when he saddled 30 Slews to victory, 1992 in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, but never won a Florida Derby. And in all, Baffert has raced 10 horses at Gulfstream since 2003. So we'll see how that works out tomorrow. Bill Mott won most major races, but not the Florida Derby. He's come close in 2002, saddled Blue Burner to a second place finish to Harlan's Holiday, and in 2018 saddled Hutberg to a second place finish behind Audible. And of course, he will have Sovereignty, who will he overcome the outside post position? Other than the post position, he would not only be the horse to beat, but he's sitting at, in the upper tier of many Kentucky Derby lists that have come out. So we'll see what Sovereignty can do on Saturday. But again, the post position was no bonus. Todd Pletcher has won the Florida Derby 8 times. He's attempting to win it for the 9th time. You got to respect that, certainly. Manny Franco is returning to Gulfstream, replacing the injured Junior Alvarado on the Derby favorite Sovereignty. He hasn't ridden at Gulfstream since the 2019-2020 meet during COVID restrictions. Franco had 30 mounts, winning with 4, including the Florida Derby and the Holy Bull on 'Tis the Law. So that's intriguing. And it was interesting that Manny Franco was tabbed to come down and hop on Sovereignty. And part of that we were just discussing before we went on the air. Part of that is it was a late decision because of the injury to Gaff Leon and Junior Alvarado, both late kind of situations that got some scrambling going on, and that had to look outside the local community because a lot of the guys who ride here locally normally are going to be over at Oaklawn, obviously. So had to go to New York and kind of dip in the pool there to replace, and you'll see that over the next couple of days, mainly tomorrow, with the horses that, as I say, Gaff Leon certainly was a little bit later than Junior Alvarado, so some late scrambling there. Another note that Florida Derby not necessarily kind to long shots. There have been some upset winners if you go back a ways, but in the last dozen years, only 2 winners have paid more than $9, and they were only $12 and $11. So we'll see. And Mike Smith being one of those jockeys, he'll actually be replacing Franco, replacing Alvarado. Mike Smith replacing Gaff Leon in the Florida Derby. He'll be on Matticat Road. He will attempt to win his 4th Florida Derby and his first since 1996. So again, it's been interesting to see how things were juggled up on the jockey side of things. And finally, this is kind of interesting. Pletcher and Rapoli going for a three-peat. If you hadn't realized, obviously, over the last couple of years with Fierceness and Forte, Rapoli and Pletcher have captured the Florida Derby, and they go with Disruptor, who I kind of like. Disruptor lightly raced, but I think he is a talented runner, certainly from the Pletcher-Rapoli combination. So there are some of the stats to keep in mind over the weekend here, Florida Derby and more. Again, don't forget the weekend will end and the championship meet will end on Sunday because it's the meet end. There is a Rainbow Six mandatory coming up on Sunday. So if you like the Rainbow Six and you like the mandatory payoffs, Sunday right here at Gulfstream, we'll have the mandatory coming up. Don't forget also, I mentioned it earlier, and we'll have a little more discussion about that one coming up. Oaklawn also with the big day. Florida Derby, Arkansas Derby, 2 major preps. We have another weekend of the preps coming up, and then we'll have the points down. We'll know who is likely to go, who's on the bubble, and we'll be counting down. But this is part of that countdown, the last series of 100-point prep races, Florida Derby and Arkansas Derby, both tomorrow. We'll have more conversation about that coming up momentarily. We'll wind up handicapper support. We'll come back shortly, racing across America. Again, as we bounced around yesterday, we were in the paddock before the 5th for Sorcerer's Silver, second start of the career for the West Point thoroughbred runner who looked really good in debut. I talked to Terry Finley from West Point, got caught up on thoughts on Sorcerer's Silver and what the future may hold there. We talked to Dylan Davis as well. He has some runners coming up, Florida Derby, and on the card. We also talked to Ken Sweeney, who has some stakes runners coming up on Saturday. And Tom Bell. So those are all taped. And then Tom Bellhouse from West Point will join us live. We'll talk again about Sorcerer Silver and Sandman in the Arkansas Derby with Tom and more, because they have some nice runners that are kind of gearing up to start their seasons going forward as well. So handicapper support, we'll wrap it up. Nice Florida as I say, breezy day here, but temperature-wise, we're enjoying it. So it should be a nice Friday down here at Gulfstream. We're happy to be live from the paddock set, and we will continue momentarily. We'll take a break, come back, racing across America. Stay tuned.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.
Live from Gulfstream Park in South Florida, this is a special edition of Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
morning. Welcome to Racing Across America. Again, live from Gulfstream Park. Happy to be here on a nice day. Again, mentioned at the top of the handicappers report, this certainly beats upstate New York and the rough winter we've had there. It's turning. We're in that springtime heading towards better weather mode, but it's nice to be down here for a little break. And it's Florida Derby weekend. We'll have plenty of Florida Derby conversation coming up today and tomorrow. Don't forget tomorrow, programming note, 8 a.m. tomorrow. We kick off 8 a.m. tomorrow, Saturday, for handicapper support and Racing Across America. So keep that in mind for tomorrow. But today, again, some tape pieces as we bounced around. We've got a little Dylan Davis coming up later, trainer Kent Sweezy, both having very good meets down here at Gulfstream. But we'll kick things off. Got a couple of pieces, Terry Finley. We'll start things out yesterday. Sorcerer's Silver, second start of the career, debuted here at Gulfstream on February 1st and looked very good. So this was the second start of the career. Terry was out in the paddock yesterday with the West Point folks, and so we caught up with Terry and asked him a little bit about expectations for Sorcerer Silver off of the big debut victory, what he expected yesterday, and what may be going in the future. So we got some of those thoughts, and then we watched the race and wound up in the winner's circle and caught a little post-race from Terry as well. So again, this is from yesterday, Sorcerer Silver in the fifth race, career start number 2, and Terry Finley from West Point Thoroughbreds.
All right, we're here Thursday in the paddock. First, set us up a little bit about what's about to come up here at Gulfstream.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this horse. Dale Romans and I bought him at the Timonium sale. He had a little chip in his ankle. He was obviously by Good Magic, who was very, very hot, and he remains hot. So, he's a legit, a very legit horse. I think this is a perfect spot for him to see if he takes the next step. Although I don't think we should be 1-9. There's some real, on the sheets, he's obviously the fastest horse, but not by a distance that should put him at 1-9. But anyway, all of them have to run around the racetrack. I think we're in a good spot. I'll bring up one of those terms that people use around the racetrack. I wouldn't trade places with anybody else. So.
What do you? Is it too early to say what you might be looking at down the road? Because you clearly have a very nice horse.
No, if we get a chance to take the step here, I think we'll probably go to Lexington, or we'll look at that, and then I don't know, who knows? Maybe the Preakness or the Woody Stevens on Belmont Stakes Day, which I know is a race that you know very well, Seth.
In the West Point Gold, it's Sorcerer's Silver, setting sail for the money, 3 on top. Aerostar tries to hold on to second with Mr. Tyson. Lawler destined for a minor placing, but the favorite's a winner. Sorcerer's Silver makes 1-5 look like easy money. Geared down by Irad Ortiz Jr. and 6 lengths to the good.
I was a little nervous coming into this race. I thought the sheets, I didn't think he should have been 1-5, but obviously the way that he ran and performed, he should have been 1-9. But, that was a decent group of horses that he just really, I think showed, he's got a shot, and it's great to hear Irad get off the horse and say, we're ready to take on the big boys. So we'll probably go to Lexington, and I've always wanted to win the Preakness. So I know that's a long, long way down. I don't want to sound like an amateur, but if you can't dream like a horse like this, you probably don't need to be owning horses.
Nice start number 2 from Sorcerer Silver, and Terry, obviously, even before the race, he said, a good performance. We'll maybe head for the Lexington. He reiterated that after the race. Thoughts about maybe the Preakness down the road. And so far, so good. 2 starts, 2 very nice wins for the Florida bred. It's going to have to stretch out. The career debut was at 7, yesterday at 6. We'll see. I mean, they were also talking things like in the winner circle afterwards, Pat DeMille. You heard Terry mention the Woody Stevens. So it's a horse that, you have a good 3-year-old. I think you experiment and maybe stretch out a little bit and see what's what. But they also may just decide, we have a one-turn horse going forward. We'll see what the game plan is. But as I say, so far so good for Sorcerer's Silver. Now, they do have a 3-year-old on the Kentucky Derby trail at Arkansas tomorrow at Oaklawn, Sandman, who I have liked throughout the series. You go 2 stakes back at Oaklawn, had that troubled start, and then it was way at the back of the pack last time, but ran well to be in the money in both of those Oaklawn Stakes. Now tomorrow's in the Arkansas Derby. So I asked Terry about that as well. We'll hear a little more from Terry in the paddock from yesterday, his thoughts on Sandman in the Arkansas Derby. And I will say, stay tuned. Special guest, Tammy Fox, Dale Roman's partner, who actually, as Terry Finley mentions, Tammy's the exercise rider on Sorcerer's Silver, but Tammy makes a kind of a special guest appearance, and she said, "Hey, I don't want that edited out." I said, "I'm not editing out. That's what makes things go viral." So again, there'll be a special guest appearance as well. But here was Terry Finley from West Point Thoroughbreds yesterday in the paddock talking about the potential tomorrow in the Arkansas Derby for Sandman.
But fill us in, talking before we went on the air here, you're headed down to Oaklawn. Fill us in what the game plan is there. A horse I've been tied into for a while now.
Yeah, we talked about him in Saratoga, Sandman, and I said to Mark Cassidy the other day, I was just so happy for him and really proud of all of the horsemanship skills that he's been able to put together to really bring this horse along in a step-by-step fashion. And that's very important in our game today. You got to have them. If they're not, secretariat-esque, they got to take the steps forward, and we're happy. Obviously, we got to beat the Badford horse on the outside. I think it's such an intriguing race. I think we'll be coming. I don't think we'll be as far out of it as we were in the Rebel, and it's a long trip to get down there, but I don't think that we're. This is Tammy Fox, Dale's. So she gallops the horse that we run here now, and she's breezing them, so she's always loved them. But anyway, it's a long trip to go to Oaklawn Park, and I hope I get a shot to get my picture taken.
So again, thanks to Terry Finley for some thoughts on Sandman, and again, special guest appearance from Tammy Fox as well yesterday in the paddock. And they had a nice crew out here from West Point. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up in just a few. We have Tom Bellhouse from West Point with us live on the set in a few. But before we get to that, Dylan Davis caught up to him on the way back to the Jocks room after the finale yesterday here at Gulfstream. He has Entered the Dragon. In the Florida Derby, this is interesting. Entered the Dragon is more of a turf horse. You'll see a replay of the Colonel Liam, which is won by Mi Bago easily. But watch coming up the rail, it's going to be Entered the Dragon with a nice late run to grab second in that Colonel Liam. But he's going to be trying the dirt on Saturday in the Florida Derby. So we talked with Dylan about Enter the Dragon. He also has Silvology coming up in the Orchid, trained by Shug. That one comes off a nice 1.5-mile win last time. Dylan's having a great meet. We got his thoughts on that. He's been up in New York in the winter recently, but he said as it got to the end of the year, you know what, I think I'm going to head down to Florida. He had some support doing that from Mark Cassidy. He's put together a nice meet, so caught up with him on thoughts there and just, what his game plan is after the meet ends and whatnot. So up next, as I say, we caught up to him yesterday after the finale, jockey Dylan Davis.
Let's talk Florida Derby. Entered the Dragon, second last time in the Colonel Liam. You've been on him. Turf horse.
Mi Bago still rolling off the turn with a kick, now 5 lengths to the good. The rest wondered what happened. The Colonel Liam Stakes is in the midst of a rout put on by Mi Bago. Mi Bago and jockey Irad Ortiz Jr. can gear down and pose for the picture. Mi Bago down the road and sharpened victory. Entered the Dragons in a place picture with George Briggs. That's very close.
What do you expect on the dirt in the Florida Derby?
Well, there's always exciting things that could happen. So you got to be in it to win it, and I've heard that he's trained well on the dirt in the morning, so I'm looking for an exciting run and some hot pace, so to make sure that he has that big closing kick for us.
And talk a little bit about in the Orchid, Silvology for Shug. Broke the maiden 2 back at a 1 3/8. Then last time followed up in a non-winners of 1.5 miles.
Silvology and Dylan Davis turn for home on top. From between horses, Bravo Kitten toward the outside, Three Priests. They come past the 8th pole. Selvology by 3. Three Priests is trying to get into second with Just an Eye charging on her outside. They come for the wire with Selvology clear. Selvology made the first move, and it was a winning move to win by a length and a half. Second was Just an Eye, very close for third. From last, Tarnima was charging at Three Priests in 2:24 and 2.
What do you expect from Savology?
Well, we're 2 for 2, so we got a perfect combo there. She's really, really nice to ride. Big stride, feeling just break well. Save as much ground as possible, of course. And what she really likes is to get her running going a little bit earlier than the others. And she likes to hold on to that stride there to the wire. And she's really a great ride, and I'm hoping for a great run.
So there are a couple of you've already ridden, but you have a full slate coming up in stakes races on Saturday.
Yeah.
How do you prep? What's the homework like? Videotapes and talk to the trainer?
Oh no, of course, yeah. But just like every other race, you want to speak to the trainer and the owner, get their thoughts. I also come prepped with replays and my own homework as far as what we need to do to win the race, and then we come on the same page there and agree upon what we got to do, and then we go from there. So it's just like every other day. It's you ride hard every race and hope for the best, but of course you want winners on Florida Derby Day.
And I have to ask you, we'll wrap up with, you made a decision to come down to Florida, and I'm guessing you have to be thrilled with the season.
Yes, yeah, it's went well. Very successful in my eyes. Going to come down earlier next winter, December, and hope for with the full meet. So very exciting for that, and was just really waiting for the right opportunity to come down here and with the right outfits, and this year was the right time. So looking for a big year this summer and following. I think it's going to be even better for me for the next year.
And what is your game plan back to New York after the meet?
Yes, so I'm gonna go back to Aqueduct for the spring meet there in April. Ship into Keeneland when needed to hold on to some of my stake horses, and the reason for that is to get ready for Saratoga and hope for a big meet there.
And again, Dylan currently sitting, as far as wins are concerned, number 7 on the jocks list. And that's after, he didn't come down to fairly late, as far as having the meet started. And he's stuck in New York until the end of the year, where he's having a good year up there. So you could see why he stuck around. But he came down, and so he was a little bit behind, but sitting 7th. And with a big weekend, he could move up the list a few spots. So it's been a really nice Gulfstream meet for Dylan Davis. And as he said there, he's planning to come earlier next year. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, live on the set, Tom Bellhouse from West Point Thoroughbreds. Again, we'll get some of his thoughts on the win yesterday. Sandman coming up on the weekend. They have some others who are out and getting their workouts to head into the 2025 season. We'll hit on all of that and more right after this when Racing Across America continues. Stay tuned.
Want to get your career in horse racing off to a fast start? Well, the University of Arizona's Racetrack Industry Program is your winning ticket. The Racetrack Industry Program has served as a springboard to some of the industry's most successful individuals, with a proven track record of job placement right out of college. If you want to earn a degree in the exciting horse racing industry, the Racetrack Industry Program can put you in the winner's circle.
Sometimes it pays to go with the flow, to check your worries at the door, to reconnect with your crew, to follow the thrills and the flavor, to roll with it and see where it takes you, to enjoy every minute to its fullest, and to dance like there's no tomorrow. You can do that here at Rivers Casino and Resort Schenectady, where the good times flow.
Welcome back. Hey, look who's here down in Florida. We see him up at Saratoga all summer long. Usually get him plugged in on the backstretch. We'll do that again, obviously, but always fun to have Tom Bellhouse on the set, particularly when we're out of town. Tom, good morning.
Nice.
Like
yeah, a little summertime, little South Florida. I love it.
I had to get impressed, though.
That's okay.
I was I'm not a good packer, and so I had it in the suitcase, just kind of folded up, and it's a linen jacket. I thought, I don't know. So I took it across the street and
good move.
Had it pressed, and so I'm glad to know it looks good.
This is nice, though.
Yeah. beats upstate, right? But yeah, let's get into it and talk a little bit West Point. Tom Bellhouse, of course, West Point thoroughbreds, and we showed earlier the tape piece I did with Terry in the paddock and then in the winner's circle. But I'd like your impressions. Sorcerer Silver yesterday, moves from the maiden victory back in February to non-winners of one in the second start of the career, and he looked pretty good yesterday. Your thoughts?
Yeah, yesterday wonderful. I mean, you have a horse like this that we bought at Timonium. And we knew at the sale he had a small issue that we were going to have to address, and that's probably why we got him for the price we did.
130, I was going to say. Nice,
for a good
nice,
magic,
nice,
Yeah.
So,
but that being said, we gave him all the time, brought him back. Dale had kind of touted him to us coming into the winter that this horse was starting to really come together, and he has a real presence about him. You saw that in the paddock yesterday. Breaks his maiden with Irad and very convincingly. And, one of the many great parts of the state bred programs, we see it all the time in New York, but even down here in Florida, you get that opportunity to run for a restricted A other than. And that's what yesterday was. And to get him that second race under his belt, get him that experience, a positive experience, without having to dive into the deep end and, getting lulled into the fountain of youth, or, you're going to see a horse. We're going to talk about Sandman later, Cornucopia, who won a maiden race at 6 furlongs and now is going to have to go 1 1/8 miles against graded, to go to the Kentucky Derby. I mean, that's probably the biggest ask I've ever seen,
Yeah.
That all being said, it was a phenomenal performance yesterday. I think it came back an 89 buyer is what I saw this morning. And, and Irad got off. And
so a nice move forward. It was an 84.
Exactly. So, Irad basically said that it went exactly how he wanted. He never asked him. 109 and change. Perfect step forward. Now, we were just talking offset. You have tons of options here. You can dive into the deep water at the Pat Day Mile, maybe, or you can look at maybe the Chick Lang on Preakness Day, or you could run in an A other than, because he's still eligible for an open A other than. If we were going to run in, let's say, New York or Kentucky, that would still be an option. Obviously, with a horse with this kind of talent, I think there will be a draw to give him a shot against bigger and more established company. But
Terry mentioned the Lexington, perhaps, and then he said maybe the Preakness. But he also, when I talked to him in the paddock, said Woody Stevens. So it seems like one of those 3-year-olds where he's clearly got a lot of talent. Maybe at some point you stretch him out a little bit to see, but maybe you
I
stick
think
on
that,
one
I mean,
turn.
we've talked this morning. I think the Lexington just too quick. I mean, we don't.
It is a pretty quick.
Yeah, we just, what we'll try to do now is judge does. And, it'll be up to Dale and Terry to make this decision. Does the Pat Day, the benefits, the cost benefit analysis on the Pat Day Mile, it's going to be it's always a war.
Yeah.
Or do you just take another step forward and go to like the Chick Lang, where it's a nice race, but it's not anywhere near as demanding as the Pat Day Mile. And then does he want to go farther? Does he want that route of ground? He hasn't shown us any reason that he wouldn't, but I think that'll be what comes up in the next 2 months. And then obviously, the Woody Stevens and the Jerkins, those one-turn races are always in the back of your mind as the summer goes on. But the fact that we were able to give him that time after his debut and not get lulled into running back 2 weeks later and not getting on the hamster wheel.
No, because when I saw that first victory, I thought, what do they do now? Because it's a late start to get on the.
This race that we won yesterday came back 2 weeks after that. And it would have been very easy to get sucked in. We'll run back there. And I give Dale all the credit. He just said, listen, this is a nice horse. Let's treat him like a nice horse. And that's where we ended up yesterday. And we have a fun partnership on this horse. There was a lot of people here.
There was a good crowd.
Just having fun and just like, wow, that's the kind of race. I'm always more nervous when we're 1-5 than we're 5-1. And all of a sudden going into the gate, I'm like, okay, kid, don't fall off. I always think of Richie Migliore used to tell the story that he had a race he felt he couldn't lose if he didn't fall off. And he basically didn't get in the saddle he sat on the horse back behind the saddle. So when the horse broke, he couldn't, even if he stumbled, he wouldn't fall off. And he told me he won by like 15. So it was a great day yesterday. And really, knock on wood, the stable has just really been having a great winter in the spring, and it's setting up for a tremendous year for us.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about a few that you have coming up that are going to get underway and had good years last year in a few. But before I do that, let's go to the aforementioned. You had the good day here yesterday. And again, talking to Terry, he said he's headed out. He's headed to Oaklawn on the weekend for the Arkansas Derby. And let's talk a little bit about Sandman. I have liked Sandman right along, the Marquesi trainee. I liked him in the Southwest. I liked him in the Rebel. Southwest, he got off to that stumbling start and ran great. I mean, at the second, him coming late. And then in the Rebel, he was just way back and still got up to be a decent third. What are the expectations tomorrow for Sandman?
Yeah, I watched the replay of the Rebel the other day, and he was coming. I was like, if he could just get second, then you're locked in on the Derby points. But, another horse that, we saw him at Saratoga. He broke his maiden on Saratoga. He had a rough debut in Kentucky. Went, I believe it was to the Iroquois. And it just, Mark Cassey has not been afraid to run this horse. He feels that he's a big, strong horse that is inexperienced. And he says he's only going to get better through running and racing. And as the years gone on, when he came back and he ran in that allowance race, to me, that's when the light bulb really clicked. You saw a different Sandman in that allowance race. And then we go on, and now we're going to hit all three of the Arkansas preps. Listen, Cornucopia, it's an unbelievable ass. You have an Into Mischief that I think he ran like a 6 on the sheet, something like that. A crazy number on the sheet.
Buyer.
Yeah. And now he's moved forward, I think 4 on Trainadata. And if it wasn't Bob Baffert with his that he can do it, and the fact that he's probably, even though he's had one race, he's probably had about 15 wars in the morning against all those great Baffert horses that he has, that he is experienced. But to ask any horse to go 6 furlongs to 1 mile and an eighth in his second career start against a field of salty horses that, how many times has Sandman run in his career?
7.
7 times. I mean, and he's faced adversity, and the Iroquois ate a ton of dirt, and he's a more mature horse now. And I think that as we go forward into this race, we're really confident. I think he's going to run big. I think it's he doesn't have that tactical speed where you'd love him to be a little closer. But I think each race, and you saw it right at the end of the Rebel, he really started to put it together and come flying, and missed second by a length, I think. So, listen, we run 1, 2, 3. We got a seat in the Derby, and I don't think you can ask for more than that. But if this is a huge race for us, you win the Arkansas Derby. I mean, with that breeding and his sales history, 1.2 million. I mean, he's a stallion, and the Arkansas Derby is an unbelievably prestigious race.
Yeah.
Let's, we've never won it, and we'd love to win it.
Not to mention $1.5 million up for grabs down there.
That's a couple simoleons, and
that's nice too. So again, Sandman tomorrow in the Arkansas Derby, and intriguing with Cornucopia. And it is very definitely an intriguing addition. As I said, I wanted to hit on some of your other runners that just looking at your website. I always tell people if folks are interested in partnerships, they're all different levels. But you guys have a great website that keeps you up to date, results and whatnot. And you look ahead for some of your horses, not necessarily entries are taken, but you know what's on the calendar and you'll say this one's pointing towards that. So very nice. But I wanted to talk about one, speaking of Oaklawn, who didn't get it done last week. But boy, if you're a partnership, you got to love a horse like Jackson Traveler. Last week ran 7th in the Whitmore. He'd won that one last year. But I was just looking last night. He'd won a stake at Sunland just prior to the try at Oaklawn. Overall in the career, though, 36 starts, 13 wins, $1.1 million. Of those 13 wins, 12 were at different tracks, and 10 were stakes races. So, again, Jackson Traveler, you got to love that one if you're a partnership.
I think you'd be hard-pressed, other than maybe a Champion, to find a horse that is more fun. And really all credit goes to Steve Asmussen, because I don't think any other trainer in America would have managed his career the way Steve has, that he's not afraid to go and put him in maybe what you might consider obscure tracks. But, we're on a 4-race winning streak coming into that race, the Whitmore. The one thing about Jackson at this stage of his career, when he don't have it, he takes care of himself. Yeah. And for some reason, he didn't break the way he normally would. And the other Asmussen horse went hard to the lead, the winner. And he just, to me, never looked like he was in the race. And that's okay. We know with him, like that, if he runs next time, it wouldn't stop me from backing him, because that's just the way he is. If he doesn't have it that day, he doesn't bring it. And but his career has been amazing. It's a little bit of a bummer that a horse that's won over $1 million and that resume isn't really, Son of Munnings isn't considered for a stud deal. We had a small offer in New Mexico, a fair offer, but it was like the partners decide, he's sound, let's keep running him and have fun that way. But no, listen, he's awesome. Maybe you see him on Preakness Day again. He's won that before.
That's what I say. The partnership has got to be a lot of fun, because he goes all over the place. You can have partners bouncing around 12 different tracks and 10 stakes wins. Vava, I see Vava's working. Last year won the Grade 1 Derby City, and maybe pointed there again. Talk a little bit about Vava.
How about her half sister,
Ahava?
Ahava. Yeah. You look at Vava and what she's accomplished, and she's a gun runner. But really been a one-turn horse. And then watching the half-sister, she broke her maiden, the half-sister did, on Risen Star Day, which to me, has always been a little suspect, because it was such a speed-favoring track, it looked like that day. So would she come back against – and I watched that race, obviously very interested, because we own her big sister, who is going to be a very valuable broodmare. But that filly fought on in the stretch. I mean, she'll be something that she might go to the Oaks. She'd be somebody that you really have to watch against those big fillies. But my thought, Vava is getting close. It sounds like Cherie is pointing a race on Derby Day for her, which would be wonderful.
Yeah, I think going back to the Derby City Distaff, which she won last year.
And, Cherie's going to be extremely careful with Vava. If Vava shows any indication she's not the Vava of last year, she'll just call it a day. She doesn't owe us anything, and she's extremely, extremely valuable as a Grade 1 winner by Gun Runner. And now even more valuable that her baby sister is a runner as well. So it's an exciting time. She's been a lot of fun. She was up in Saratoga as a baby, so we got to see her as a 2-year-old. And the only knock on Vava's career is she don't seem to like Saratoga. She's great everywhere else, but Saratoga, not so much. And we laugh and who doesn't like Saratoga?
Exactly. What's she thinking?
But no, she's wonderful. And I think, in a perfect world, she'll have maybe a 4 or 5 race campaign that leads her to the Breeders' Cup and probably sell in the November Night of the Stars.
And as you say, Cherie's just having a fabulous career the last year and a half or so. And Vav has been part of that. Integration won the Red Smith towards the end of the year last year. Was second in the Arlington Million. And looking at your website, perhaps aim to the Maker's Mark Mile. So integration.
And I quote Shug McGahee, 2 days, never better. So we're going. We toyed with the idea of going to Dubai with him. He doesn't carry a lot of weight. He's not a horse that, you always got to watch his weight a little bit. And the thought of shipping over there, finally, when the decision had to be made, Shug was like, I think we just take him to Keeneland, and he's just thrived in the last month down here. So I expect a huge effort. Keeneland opens next Friday?
Yeah.
So a week from now.
Nice.
So let's go.
And a guy like Shug, when he gives the thumbs up, you got to appreciate that. And I also just wanted to touch on Carson's run, because that was that was a lot of fun last year. The Grade 1 Saratoga Derby and all you guys in the winner's circle, very emotional. Dylan's first Grade 1
in the States.
Yeah, in the States, because he had the one up at, but also won the Grade 3 Jockey Club Invitational. And it looks like you might get him started over at Laurel in the Henry Clark.
Yeah, we were up at Payson yesterday, Terry and I, and we were talking with Team Clement. There's an allowance race at Keeneland. Basically, the big goal for us right now with him is the Manhattan on Belmont Stakes Day. We know he loves Saratoga. He broke his maiden there. He's run great there. We didn't kick him out this year. Normally, when a horse like this, you send him to the farm for a few, and he's never been one that's a great workhorse. So his conditioning kind of left us a little. It took us a while to get him back into fighting shape last year. So he stayed with the Clements, even though they turned him out every day and they just jogged him and hacked him. But his fitness and his body type is just so different than last year coming into the year. And so the race in Laurel would provide us, I believe, 6 or 7 weeks right into the Manhattan, and that being the first big goal for the year, and where we go from there, who knows. But this horse is just, you talk about a partnership dream. We bought him at OBS from Randy Miles. I believe we paid $170. A regally bred son of Cupid out of a Henny Hughes mare, who's now a 2-time Grade 1 winner. And what was the Belmont race? Was it? Remember that was like a Grade 2 or something?
Jockey Club Invitational was Grade 3. Yeah.
So 2 Grade 1s, Grade 3. I mean, that race at Saratoga, the Saratoga Derby, it'll probably, for me, go down as one of the greatest races in West Point history. Him hitting the wire with the rainbow over the finish line, and Steve Boucher being there, our partner. And Steve has been a friend for a lot of years. And, we team up with a lot of different people, and we buy horses. Vinny Viola has helped our company go from here to here, and many other people we've done business with. But you look at, a guy like Steve, who really was fairly new into the game with Donegal and with West Point back in the day, had keen eyes, but has really, his interest has grown. And to have a horse like that and win on his home track, and it just, it'll be, like I tell people all the time, you talk about house money, playing with house money. He wins the Grade 1 as a 2-year-old. We go to the Breeders' Cup, and you don't know if they're ever going to really come back at 3, 2 to 3. Yeah. You see it all the time. Like, he's a very, like kids in school, precocious in high school, not a great college player, or however. And with him, to have him get better and better and better, and just say, like, he's competing with the best horses in our country, and ones that they're shipping in, and it just goes to show you it's all about heart.
Yeah. And it was definitely fun that day up at Saratoga, Grade 1 Saratoga Derby, because they did the redo down in that, and I'm like, keep that big screen there, and you and the West Point partners always like to watch the races there, and just standing there watching them come down the stretch and seeing the partners and you and the whole team.
Well, we used to tell people, it's like, well, why do you watch the race there? I said, well, if we get lucky, we're right to the winner's circle. If we don't get lucky, the jockey has to walk by us. Sometimes he needs body armor, but it's always been for us, it's a tradition. Some people like to go to the box area. Some people want to be on the rail, but at Saratoga, that's always been the spot for us.
Yeah, it's definitely it was a lot of fun. There's no question about it. And let me just wrap up because we've kind of alluded to it already. You said Sorcerer's Silver, you bought at Timonium, and again, kind of a bargain there with 130 compared to what you've done in previous years. Of course, you go back a few years up at Saratoga, Flightline, nice.
You remember him?
Yeah, nice little purchase up there. But you guys are very active at the sales. I'm wondering, so far, 2-year-old sales. We just had an OBS sale. Have you guys been active this year?
We got pieces of 5 horses at the March sale. Obviously, we'll head there. I go home on Sunday and then fly back 2 weeks later for OBS April. I think, to be honest, the sale we're all excited for is the Saratoga sale this summer, where you will see those first Flightline yearlings. And I mean, I'm sure they're going to have some nice ones there. I mean, I saw Boyd Browning of Phasing Tipton at OBS, and I said, "Hey, you ready? We're going to have." He goes, "Oh, I'm going to have some nice ones." So it'll be great for our partners, and it'll be great for the game. There'll be a lot of anticipation on what the Flightline babies look like, and just very similar to like American Pharaoh when his first crop came. But I think the greatness, and he wasn't bred 250 mares. He was only bred to like 150. So I mean, you're gonna have, and a lot of those weren't bred to sell. They were bred by breeder owners. So you're gonna have a limited edition, unlimited amount of them hit the market, and I'm sure we'll be buying them. So,
well, I remember the night up at Phasing Tipton, the Flightline night. Actually, it's always a lot of fun to see you guys at the sales too, and when you pick up one like that, and you guys are shopping around for partners and on the phone and whatnot.
It's exactly how it goes down.
It's fun to watch.
Yep.
Yeah, Tom, appreciate the visit, and congratulations yesterday on Sorcerer's Silver. Looking forward to seeing what the next couple of months in particular have in store for that one. But good luck to you and the whole West Point team with Sandman tomorrow.
Thank you so much. It's a big day for us. I mean, I was joking with Terry. I said, you win that one, we go into Ocala like peacocks. We got a horse in the Derby, and and it's a big deal for our partners, but also, people joke sometimes when you play at the top of the market. We play at every segment of the market, but you got to reward those guys who play at the top once in a while too. And this was a $1.2 million purchase that was never supposed to go to the sales. The gentleman that Lothenbach dispersal, he passed away, and that's how the horse ended up in that sale. And he didn't even breeze; he just galloped, and he brought that money. So he was never supposed to be offered. And so for us to be able to be a part of it with St. Elias and DJ Stable, Len and John Green, they're just great partners. I mean, St. Elias is, like I said, has helped our company go from here to here over the years, and with Vinny and Teresa's support. But it's going to be a great year, and let's do it all again up in Saratoga.
Yeah, that's going to be the game plan. We'll probably get you in sooner rather than later with the early start and the extra weekend and whatnot. So looking forward to that, which, as I say, is sooner rather than later. But some nice results yesterday. Nice to look forward to. Always fun to talk to you and Terry and everybody involved at West Point. A couple of years ago, we were talking about milestone victories and whatnot. Just keep it up and appreciate the visit.
Pal.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. We'll send it right to Ken Sweezy. His piece here. He's got one in the Cutler Bay, I'm Due. He's got one in the Pan Am, Better Bet. And we also talked to him a little bit about just a great meet for trainer Ken Sweezy down here, championship meet, and where he might head next. So here we go. Up next, taped yesterday, trainer Kent Sweezy.
Cutler Bay tomorrow. You have I'm Due in there. Comes off a nice win and an optional claimer. Starter allowance at a mile and 16. Won at this 7.5 2 back. But stakes debut. Talk a little bit about the expectations for I'm Due.
So we liked him all along. He ran a pretty good race for us at Monmouth early on, and then he's a New York bred, so we wanted to protect him a little bit, and so just in case he were to pop up and show some good numbers for New York. So we did, and we dipped him in for the 35 finally, and he won that pretty nice. Came back in a starter and ran okay, and then we put blinkers on him with Paco.
I'm Due travels up boldly now to take over the lead. Down the center, Dual Income working for a run. Friolento farther out, Tepeyac with a rush. They come past the 16th pole. It's I'm Due. He's 2-1. He's in front, and Paco's got 5 on the card. I'm Due wins. Big Bomber Tepeyac for second. Dual Income is third. Friolento fourth. Then Ilau Camista to complete your high five in 1:40 and 4.
And once he got fit and really doing good, we didn't have to train him very hard. And I think that's played a little bit into it as well. We're bringing happy horses over here, which I think makes a big difference. So blinkers on, Paco knows the horse. So we'll, I think he sets a good trip. I think it's not it's a competitive race, but it's not a race full of grade 1 horses yet. So yeah, we're looking forward to it. I don't mind the draw. The one isn't terrible. So yeah, he's doing great. So we're looking forward to it.
Talk a little bit about that, having a New York bred. If you get a New York bred that does well in stakes, you just have so many options.
Yeah, you do. He's a New York sired, actually. So he has 2 races in Saratoga this year. They used to be at Belmont. One was 7, and then it stretched out to a mile, and they're like 100 and 150. Now I think they're both 150, and they're both 2 turns, but that's fine for him. So that's obviously our target for the summer are those 2 lucrative races. So, but he's doing really good, and so we're excited to run him.
Talk a little bit about the Pan American tomorrow. Your horse in the Pan American, 7th last time at a mile and a 16th. And the chart says bounced around start. Talk a little bit about that circumstance.
We put blinkers on him and had Dylan instructions were to they're going a mile. So let's try to get him into the race a little bit more. And he jumped, and right when he jumped, 2 other horses came onto him. So he lost that. He lost that game plan. Plan A was messed up from the gate, but plan B was just to make a run and see. Obviously not thinking that he was going to love the shorter distance, but he didn't run bad. And he made his move. He made his run. So we're not going to get many shots to go this distance. And even the 2X at the second level allowance at Keeneland is going to be really tough. And not that this race is a layup by any means, but the distance is going to be key with him for sure moving forward. Hopefully we have a fun summer with him because he will love the distances.
And 3 back, he did win at the 1.5 miles.
Sure.
He's also won at a mile and 3/8.
Yeah.
The last one was, a mile and 16. So you do think that the distance will be a help.
Oh, totally. Everything he does makes us think he just wants to go as far as the races. So just races like the Arlington Million are awesome races to run in, just to compete in a race like that. The United Nations at Monmouth where we go to. So we're excited. We know we're a long shot, but we got a really good jock aboard in Frankie, and I think he's probably ridden more graded stakes races going this far than anybody else in the country right now. So we're happy to have him.
Have you ever ridden Frankie before?
We rode him on a maiden the other day. I've known him around a little bit, but never anything that I really was super excited about. So this might be one that, who knows, we'll see. But he's training good.
Meet's about to wind up. What are your plans after the meet winds up? Where do you head from for spring and summer?
We'll leave some horses here. We'll keep horses here at Palmettos till the middle of the summer, and then they'll go out to Del Mar. We have an owner that lives out there that really liked the Ship and Win program last year, so we did pretty good there. We'll do that again with we took 8 last year. We'll probably take 25 this year, and really try to give that a crack. It's just not many chances can you say that we get a chance to make some money, to actually make money in the summer, unless you've got the graded stake horses in Saratoga. So for our string to go to Del Mar, we can make money and win some races, and people watch those races, so they're seeing us do good. So we're really kind of psyched about that. And then I'll go to Kentucky. I'll be up there for opening day on for a week from tomorrow, and then we'll do Monmouth a little bit and Churchill and busy. This is our busy time. It's nice being right here for the winter, but now we start the plane rides.
Before we let you go, just talk a little bit about, you have to be thrilled. Currently just a couple of days left in the meet. You're sitting at 24% for the meet. Talk about your winter night here at Gulfstream.
Yeah, it's been awesome. They write races here. This is like our 4th year here, I think, and I hate to say it, it's probably taken me 4 years to figure it out and know what kind of races go and what horses like what surfaces and distances and such. Gulfstream's great. You have a lot of options on the dirt, from cheap maiden races all the way. They ride a maiden 50, which is great. They ride allowance races for horses, so there's a race for any horse you need. So we've had an awesome meet. Really, really happy. Good owners and good staff and all that stuff.
Thanks again to everybody who took time. Ken Sweezy, again, having a great meet. And it sounds like we'll see a couple of his horses up at Saratoga. Terry Finley out in the winner's circle, and the paddock yesterday, Sorcerer's Silver, and a little Sandman conversation. Dylan Davis with some rides on the car, plenty of rides on the card tomorrow, Florida Derby and beyond. So appreciate their taking the time yesterday, and Tommy Bellhouse for sitting in this morning. Appreciate your tuning in, and don't forget we're 8 a.m. tomorrow, 8 a.m. Saturday, handicapper support, racing across America. We'll bring you more great interviews tied into Florida Derby Day here at Gulfstream Park. Again, thanks to everybody at Gulfstream for their hospitality. Thanks to you for tuning in. Stay tuned all day today. Great card at Gulfstream and beyond. Back tomorrow morning for more live from Gulfstream at 8 a.m. We'll see you then.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.